before the 60s, when men just were milkmen. They weren't six-figure men. They were just everyday guys, doctors, lawyers, milkmen, grocery store clerks. And women, those men were all married. Why were they all married? Because women chose men based on the
moral standards,
right.
Their drive, and their ability to provide. It's an article. Okay, anyways, Ray. So thank you, Ray, for the subject. But it says, are economically unattractive black men hurting black women's marriage prospects? And see, the thing when I was reading this, I was thinking, well, I don't think that's what's hurting black women's marriage prospects. And the article is saying that there's black men who they're not making a lot of money. They're not making a lot of money. So, and that means, and because black women, or because women in general want men who make money, they're not getting picked because they're not making a lot of money.
Right.
Right? So now, I actually think that black women are kind of hurting their own marriage prospects outside of this subject a little bit. Because, to me, I think black women are, like we say, I think black women are too masculine.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that's what I actually think is hurting us. See, I don't think, when I look at all this, when I break down black relationships, marriages, lack of, and all that, I don't really look at totally, like, just the money part of it, or, I look at the education and all this stuff. I'm looking at just literally the way that we are, the way that we behave as black people. We have switched a role. And it's because of that, that's what's hurting us.
Yeah, or we can put this many ways. You could say, are black women, over 70% of black mothers are single. Are black women hurting the black man's chance of being the head of the family?
How about that?
With children that aren't his?
You see, man, right.
If you come in educated with money and you also have a child, because most black mothers who are single go to college. Yeah. So it's just like, my question is, let's not, although I understand the topic, what I'm saying is, how have we ruined our nuclear family for black men to be the head of a family? Should we not be making children before we meet the black man that we want to marry, and then we have kids with him, and that gives him the chance to be the head of the family?
Right. I believe, and obviously Kara does too, that there's another problem before we even get to money. Yeah. Before we even get to college.
Hypersexualization.
There's something wrong before that.
Hypersexualization of our young people through politics, through media, and through pop culture has and through the idea of having abortion, that being a choice. Yeah, you know what I mean, has caused women to be extra promiscuous and caused them to be mothers before they are ready. Right. So then what happens is that when a man dates a woman that already comes with a child, well, she comes in with baggage. She comes in with baggage. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which means that when she picks a man, she has to now work. Yep. And then she has to pick a man who makes money, because kids cost money. You know what I mean? But if you had not had children before you were married, and you had the time to choose a man, which is, I wouldn't be saying this if only 18% of us were single mothers. No, right. I'm only saying this because over 70% of our black women are mothers. So, when it comes to men and black men and their money, I always think black men should be the head of the family. They should have their money up. They should be able to take care of the family by themselves. That women should not be a factor, to me, in the making of money. That's how I feel. That I'm very old-fashioned in that way. A lot of men might think differently. I know a lot of men will probably be in the comments and say that they like working women, and you can't make money like you could back in the 60s, but you can. If you work hard, and you yourself don't become a baby daddy before you're ready, then you have all kinds of options. Kevin Samuels once said, which which I wholly agree with, when he was talking to black men. He said, if you are a single black man and you have no kids, there is no reason why you need to not be successful. Right. Because you have all the time in the world to become successful. So if you are a black man and you come in, and you don't have any children or no baby mama yet, you know what I mean? Then you have time to become successful. And the same thing happens for black women. If you are a black woman that does not have any children, see, because children make a difference. There's a reason why I bring about that kids don't come with money. You have to have money when you come with kids, you know what I mean? And they also, you know, create a problem, which is why so many people go on welfare, because it costs money to have kids. Yeah. And the government knows that.
Men are in a position right now, and I'm going to say, I know you guys know I have the preferences all the time, but I'm not saying all men, I get that. But I'm seeing the youth now of black men. They are not feeling motivated. They're not feeling, what's the ambitious. They're not feeling that way anymore. You know, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that they have bought into this feminist stuff. And because they've bought into this modern man, modern woman thing, because they bought into that, they have slacks and lacked. This is what happens when this is why we're always talking about maintaining leadership with men and roles reversal not being a good thing. Because what that creates is a economically unattractive
I'm not saying
man.
Right. I'm not saying women shouldn't work. What I'm saying is that if you're a woman that just likes working, there are women that just like going to work. And there are men who are okay with that. My point is saying is that but between the two, I don't care if a woman works or not. Between the two, your husband is supposed to be just like you were responsible for the pain of labor. The man is responsible for the burden of that. Money. That is the way it has always been, and it worked until we started women empowerment. You know what I'm saying? We just did a video on a girl who threw McDonald's at a guy because he came to pick up his child and spend the day with him. She wanted him to buy food for the rest of her kids. Okay, so how many black men are dating women that come with children? And so why would they want to be economically, you know, what did you use? Attractive. If they're economic attractive means that they have to take care of another man's kids. When 70% of women that are black women that are mothers come with children, they don't think that like that guy said to her, I don't think that I need to be responsible. We're their fathers. So a lot of black men are just saying, yeah, I want a working woman because she comes with kids. Those aren't mine. I don't want to be stuck with this. You know what I mean? And see, this is what I'm saying.
They've bought into it. A lot of these black men have bought into that. And on
some level, I get it.
I mean, it's sad to see when you see, especially younger black men, just not be motivated anymore. But a lot of this has to do with the fact that we just messed up the flow. We messed up the balance of man and woman. We completely destroyed it. You know, and it goes with all other races as well, but it is very prevalent in the black community that we clearly have bigged up black women to a point where they are now king.
Yeah, because
black men are not king.
That's because we messed up black women. Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like we've messed up black women, so we feel like we have to now embrace this sort of mess up. We have to stop being so promiscuous. Yeah, that is our problem. That comment, that question, our topic here is all about promiscuity. Yeah. If we weren't so promiscuous, you can have, look, you marry a woman gets married, and I know a lot of black women, if you get mad at me, I don't care. But what I'm saying is that if you're a black woman and you have 7 children, but they're all by the same guy and he's your husband, have as many kids as you want to have. No black man's going to be okay, going to be mad if he has 10 kids with a woman that is all his children and he has to put a roof over his head. But if you are with a woman and then she came with 3 children by different men and then you gave her one. Yeah. Well, now I want a working woman. Yeah. Because I don't want to because if it don't work out, clearly she has a problem with keeping men. Right. So if it doesn't work out, I don't want to be held responsible for all of these kids, which is what would happen with the welfare community when it first started, is that if a man was in the house, not married, if he was in the house, he was responsible for all the kids. We trapped ourselves by not being smart as black people. We fell for it. And now we have to see that.
We fell for the feminist stuff too.
But you're not going to fix it with trying to pretend like black men are deadbeats because they're not making 6 figures. And you're not going to, fix it by, eliminating single mothers from ever having a man. Yeah. You're not going to do that. What you're going to have to do, what we're going to have to do now, because we have, really screwed ourselves as a community in this area. We have.
Black women are hurting their own prospects.
We have to fix it.
See, we're so big on taking ownership and responsibility of oneself that it's hard for me to sit here and blame all of this, on black men not having money. They have their own struggle with that, and I'm sure they're figuring that out, but I feel like it's our duty in some way as black women to call out what we're hurting. We're hurting our own prospects because we decided to be the man. So this is what, it's not about economics necessarily. If a man makes good money and he is, doesn't have any children and he's doing well for himself, it would make more sense to me that he would choose a woman that better suits him. That's, that's doesn't have children and all that stuff. So if a man is not doing well financially, is that going to make him not as women won't look at him? Well, no. The answer is no, obviously, because a lot of black women are taking care of black men. So it's not like if they don't have money, that's a problem, because black women are more than willing to be the man.
If we are single
we're more
mothers,
than willing to do it.
That's what I'm saying. If we are single mothers, we have no business asking them to be
yeah.
really successful when we are the destruction also of the success of the black community. How can we say to them, are they unattractive to us? Well, is bringing in a bunch of kids unattractive?
Right. Is being a bad bitch? Is that okay too for her?
Look, I am not.
That's not unattractive. I think it is.
I'm not. I wouldn't call myself a religious person. I believe in God, but this is where I have to defend the Bible, because the Bible does say one man, one woman, and you can have as many kids as you want within that. And that's why they say don't have sex before you're married, because if we didn't have sex before we were married, we would be married to that guy, and we could have all these kids. And guess what? There would be no outside kids. But because we abandoned that ideology, and we decided to think of, and to not be disciplined,
right?
And to say, well, you know what, I can have sex with whoever I want because I'm an independent woman. And then men who sleep around as well. And we decided that we just didn't care about, and debauchery became our God.
Yeah.
We ruined our community with that. You know what I mean? The truth is that we are both unattractive. Yeah,
that's the problem. Is that we're not
an unattractive group of people.
We're not. It's not even about economics or our college education. It really is about how our behavior has changed. If we would be more ladies and gentlemen, and do our prospective roles, then no one's unattractive. It's only because we have switched the roles and willingly on both sides is the reason why we want to blame it on money and college, and she's got to have this, and then no, and he's got to have that. No, it's not that. We always wanted to be something outside, right? We always wanted to be an outside problem. It's not. It's always going to be an inside problem. We've been screwing ourselves for years, with this behavior and the way that we're acting. That, to me, I know men who make $50,000 a year. In 2022, that is not a lot of money.
No.
Okay? Not a lot of money. But I know men that make about $50,000 a year and have, 3 kids, a wife, and a house. Maybe not a great one, I'm just saying. But he's holding it down for his family. Okay? And he's not economically attractive. I mean,
he's not high value.
He's not high value.
You know what I mean?
But somehow he's making it work. I'm not, and I know men that are like that. I also know men who are making really good money, also doing well for their family and stuff too. So to me, I feel like it's not about, black women are not hurting. Like, this is not hurting. The money part is not hurting black women's prospects for marriage and getting proposed to and all that stuff. That's not a thing. It's what's hurting us is how we are in society, how we're behaving is what is hurting us. The money thing is almost secondary. It's almost secondary to a relationship because, relationships are unions based on something, right? So we get that. So I understand as a woman, women want to be protected and provided for. Women seek security. Security, it comes in many ways. It comes through protection. It also comes through money. Right? This is something that we desire. Men desire different things in women. I do understand there are women out here who desire a man who makes good money because she wants to be taken care of. She wants to be secure. I'm not talking about a gold-digging woman. Get your head out of there for a minute. Just talk about a basic, normal woman, who just wants to be secure. She's going to be okay with a man who doesn't make that a little less, as long as she's taken care of. But the majority of women right now, that's not the problem. This is not the problem with the majority of women. The majority of women right now are hurting themselves because of the way that they're behaving and with the roles they're willing to be the men. They're willing to be a man, and then question why they don't have one, and then question why they're not getting proposed to. Then they're going to question why they can't get a man or keep them. You're going to question all that, and I always say, why are you questioning that, ma'am? You're not. You are the man. What does he need you for? You've done it all.
I mean,
what does he need you for?
We've got to stop ruining our young lives. See, the thing is, when I was saying the thing about Kevin Samuels, when he said that, I absolutely agreed with him, because he's right. If you're a black man and you don't have any responsibilities yet, and you're young and strong, and you got time, that means you have time to go out there and do something in your life before you meet the right woman and make children with her.
There's no excuse.
The same thing with women. If you do not have kids when you are younger, don't have them until you meet that guy that he was trailing. Until that guy is where he is. We squander away our youth in the black community with baby mama and baby daddy crap that is ruining our community.
Right.
And then what ends up, why does that ruin our community? It ruins us emotionally. It ruins us, financially. Because a man who has a bunch of kids by a bunch of different women is going to get bankrupt by these women. So you walking around sleeping with thinking you the man because you gonna hit all these women, in the world, doesn't make you nothing but a loser. Because if you knock up a bunch of women and then they can take you to child support court, you are not anything a real woman wants now.
So let's get our morals right.
Let's get our morals right. That's what I'm saying.
Let's back it up. Let's stop talking about money for a minute. Let's just back it up. If you get your morals right and you follow, your morals is your compass. So it's gonna send you in the right direction. Hopefully, okay? We all make mistakes. We know that life happens, and okay, we get it. But in general speaking, if you have morals and you have standards and you follow a creed, you're gonna be you're more than likely going to get what you want in life the proper way, right? But if your behavior is very erratic and you're all over the place, you're promiscuous, you guys sleeping around, and you're Cardi Bing it up, it's like you're not going to be attractive anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, like that to me is what is unattractive. Like I don't look at men who make six figures, for instance. I don't automatically see them as attractive because they make six figures. It's like, to me, where it begins is the moral part of it. Yeah. And I think that if a man has that kind of standards and morals, drive, and ambition, all that stuff, he's going to get the money. The money's going to follow. Somehow it's going to happen, right? But if you have a man who is a very, just kind of lazy, looking for outside people to make him whole, then that to me that's what I consider to be unattractive. I guess I don't look at things as economically unattractive. You know what I mean? Like I don't go right to that with men. I think of it more of your women are the ones, we're doing stuff that is making us unattractive, and our prospects are lowering. See what I'm saying? Like our prospects are lowering because of the way that we're behaving. Men's prospects also are lowering because of the way that they're behaving. Because when you're a man and you allow a woman to be the man, then you are no longer looked as the man. I think this is why we always talk so much about role reversal and the switching of that and the shift in power and stuff, is because that to me is what's stained the fabric of society. I don't think that it has anything to do with necessarily money-wise, because people are making modest income in 40s and 50s, even for that time. I know the dollar was different then, but people in the 40s and 50s were making modest money. Their houses were normal houses. They weren't these big mansions. They were normal men taking care of their families. I've never been married. I've never been married. I've been in relationships, not a lot of relationships. I've been in relationships before, and I will say that it's because, like, especially back in the day, I would say more masculine when it came to like financially and stuff, like how I worked. Is a lot of the reason, I would blame it on youth too, I was really young, but a lot of the reason why it didn't work is because I was trying to be a man.
But you also weren't raised with the example.
Right.
So which was again goes back to the single mother rate. Yeah. That young black people are not being raised with the example, and the example is so important. Right. It's so important. And, I don't even know who said this, but I remember a guy who's very successful. I don't know if he's the man who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm not sure who it was, but he said a man's success is determined by the habits he makes every day. Right. So the little things you do, and this goes for women too, the little things you do every day determine your future success. Yeah. People don't look at that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But the things you do, waking up early in the morning, doing your workout, these things show how you attack life. And if you're an alcoholic, a drug user, if you sleep around, these are your habits. And this is why you're not successful.
Right.
Because of these habits. You know what I mean? And so when I tell women, know your place and get in your place, I'm not saying that because I'm trying to put women back. I'm trying to move you forward. Because I'll say the same thing to men. Know yours. Don't come into a relationship expecting a woman to pay for anything. Because as soon as you do that, what you do is you then take the power from yourself and give it to a woman. And then you have no right saying that women are out of control.
Yeah.
No man who's okay with a woman taking care of half the bills can say that anymore. Because the reason why men had such an upper hand and they were more powerful is because they understood that their role.
That's
and up until 20 years ago, every decade from the beginning of time had men in charge.
That's it. And it always worked. It never not worked. It always worked. It never not. And now we've gone into the feminists in the 70s, 60s, 70s. That started this new kind of new woman, this new type of woman, where and then men at that time were trying to cling on and hold on to what they had left, right? And then they end up getting called chauvinists.
Right.
Those men that were trying to cling on to masculinity during the feminist movement got called chauvinists. Okay? And so those men, some of them, morphed into modern men because they couldn't, women overpowered it. They took over. And men allowed that to happen. There was a small percentage of men that just did not let the feminists take over them as men, as masculine men. But there were men who just kind of fell short and just fell for it and just surrendered and just became modern men. So now what we're seeing now is the progression of modern men, and masculine women have completely taken over it. And so we have a bunch of just unmotivated men now. You know, a lot of unmotivated men. That's why whenever I actually see really motivated men, I'm like, wow, see it. Because I know they're going to teach other men how to be that way.
I was I was watching Jason Whitlock the other day, and he was talking about how back in the 1800s, he just went back that far, and he was just saying how the Bible was their source of entertainment, and it also was the way to get a woman.
Yeah,
was when a man knew the Bible back and forth. Now, the reason why I was interested in that subject was because we were just watching Little House on the Prairie, and I was saying that these people didn't have radio.
Nope.
This is before people. Their dad is playing the violin. That's their source of entertainment. The Bible and their dad playing the violin, and whoever guests came over.
Right.
But though in those days there was no radio,
Nope.
there was no television, so there was nothing to corrupt them.
Nope.
Mentally, except the Bible.
That was it. Outside activities and Bible.
Right.
That's what they had.
And then as soon as radio and television came in, then, here comes the women's suffrage movement. And then as soon as we got television in, then it's like we were able to see and get more. Now we have phones. And that when men, before the 60s, when men just were milkmen, they weren't six-figure men. They were just everyday guys, doctors, lawyers, milkmen, grocery store clerks. And women, those men were all married. Why were they all married? Because women chose men based on the moral standards, right.
Their drive and their ability to provide.
Right.
This was just a necessary thing that those are necessary things that needed to happen in order to make you worthy of marriage. For men, in order for a woman to be even worthy of being proposed to, she had to be childless,
Yeah.
In most cases, she be child. I know there's exceptions, but we're talking about rule. Okay, we're not talking about exception, right? It's the rule. But women had to be, they were more attractive when they didn't have children. They were more attractive when they were more modest. They're more attractive when they speak well. They were just more attractive when they were social. It's more attractive. And then men, it's like, I feel like we don't have enough appreciation for each other sometimes. Because, like, sometimes women don't understand the burden men have with having to be financially sound. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes there's some men who don't understand the burden that a lot of women have to have by having to bear children. And be the nurturer.
And this is why abortion is attractive to those women.
Yeah.
It's like if you're not married to her.
Yeah. It's like I don't know if we have enough appreciation for each other to understand the really broad context of this topic. Because I think that if we, I don't know, I think that if we, I'm trying to say, appreciate each other's roles and understand each other's burdens, I do believe that we will pretty much patch up the problem. But it's because we are not willing to do that. We're willing to still blame and, oh, you know, you gotta have this, you gotta have that. Oh, you just want me for my money. Oh, you just, it's like this. It's like, no, you're not being appreciative. If there's a woman who is worthy of like a man like that, right?
We didn't have these problems. Very understand. 86% of black people are under the poverty line, and before their 40s.
Yeah.
But all these men were married. And all these men worked hard, and all these men protected their home, and all these men had every child at home was theirs.
Most men are inherently driven and ambitious. Most women are inherently nurturing.
You want to give your kids, generational wealth. Give them a family. Your family is what's important. It's not. It's the money is. Look, money will come and go. You'll have it, but true success when it comes to finding love and finding a partner and having children, true success is being able to keep your family together. That's why when you get married you say those vows. Those vows are about being broke. They're about being sick. They're about a woman who's maybe beautiful one day but loses her hair to cancer. Her husband still has to love her. When a woman that gives birth to a child, she can't have sex with you for 6 weeks. He still has to love her. You know, when a man loses his money, his business, you still have to work with him and maybe have to go to work to help him. That was what we used to be. I don't care what the racial tensions were in the country. All black, white, Hispanic people in this country, that was the creed they all lived on.
And now we just changed it. And now we're all scratching our heads as to why we can't find each other. It's so weird. It's like it's not a head scratcher. It's just really in your face. It's to me it's just in your face. And we don't appreciate each other. We don't acknowledge our burdens, and we simply switch roles. I don't, like I said, I know men who do not make a lot of money but take care of their family and are in loving, fun relationships, marriages, where they don't make a ton of money but he holds it down while he's trying to build his life, build their life. I don't. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying I don't think it's about money. My point is, I don't think it's about
years
money.
ago, I wrote on this girl. This black woman has a YouTube page, and she was talking about the fact that black men don't make a lot of money, so she's leaving. She's dating white men, right? So then a bunch of black women in the comments were all like, "Yeah, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I'm dating white men." I said, "Right?" I said, "Really?" I said, "White men are white women are charging in to date a bunch of single women with kids too."
Right.
You think they're standing in line to date date us?
It's not a thing.
Would you think that the pool is going to be great with black men with white men when you come in with baggage with them?
You don't know. You don't think they know those numbers?
You don't think they know that when they're dating
they know
black
those
women,
numbers.
you know what I mean?
They know about the 70.
Cut it out. How about we stop putting down black men?
Yeah.
And black men stop putting down white or black women and start seeing ourselves for who we are. You know what I mean? And we went too far.
Right.
And now we've made a mess.
And now it's weird.
And now we're sitting here blaming each other. Men don't make enough money. Women have baby mamas. You know what I mean? It's like, no, we did this to ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we drank the Kool-Aid.
We
should have kept the rise of our community going from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. But we didn't.
Yeah.
And we fell into the trap of our culture that is now our culture.
So you tell us, what do you think? This one comes below. Ray, thank you so much for the topic. We really appreciate it. It's a good one. Let us know what you think as well, Ray. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you guys next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. And that's it. Everybody have a good weekend. Bye.